Hey everyone, and welcome to Isms by Josie. Today we're going to be doing a crochet kit from Walmart. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, we are going to be doing a kit from Walmart. I had this, and ironically enough, I did have a request for this, so we're going to do this today. If you would like to do this kit, I highly recommend that you go to your local Walmart. They've got a bunch of cute ones there that I also have, so I can't wait to do them throughout my super long list that may never end, but I'm going to get to it. Okay, so we're going to be making a pizza today, a pepperoni pizza. This is so cute. See-through bag, you can clearly see what's in this, and it looks like the yarn here is comparable to Woobles yarn. If you're not familiar with Woobles, Woobles is a high-end, I would say, crochet kit brand, and their yarn is exactly like this. The difference is, I think this was maybe 15 bucks, $14, I don't remember, maybe lower, who knows. But the Woobles, you could get something for $15 if it was on sale or clearance, but most of their stuff is like $30, $40, $60, so for one kit, but that's the difference. Alright, so we can see we have the yarn, the stuffing, the hook. We have, stitch marker. I love to see that. We have beady eyes. We do have a metal sewing needle that I don't like, but it looks like it's blunted, so you won't poke yourself real easily, but it's still made of metal, so be careful. And then there's embroidery floss. Alright, so let's open this. Nice stuffing, embroidery floss, Woobles yarn. It's thinner than Woobles yarn. I honestly thought that Woobles yarn was the only kind of yarn company that did that kind of yarn. Anyway, hook, all this little stuff here. And we have the instructions. Due to copyright, I cannot show you these instructions or go into details. What my video is going to do is just help you learn the stitches so that you can do the instructions. I'll help you how to read them, as well as any weird anomalies that might happen, which happen sometimes in these kits. Ooh, and it looks like they also have a QR code for step-by-step instruction. So if you're not the type to read the instructions and do it, then you can scan the QR code and use their step-by-step video if my video is not helpful whatsoever. I get that a lot, and that's okay. My version of learning to make my life easier may not make your life easier, and that's okay. You can just go and go by the instructions and see if reading the instruction helps. And fortunately, this brand, Plaid Bachilla, they have a step-by-step instructional video. Okay, so let's get this done, shall we? So we're going to do the cheese, and we're going to start with the yellow. So let me set aside this stuff right here. And it doesn't look like a lot, so I don't know exactly how big this piece is going to be. But we will soon find out. Okay, so I'm going to try splitting this and finding the inside yarn, because that will pull easier and not, hopefully not get your project all tangled up. but sometimes it doesn't matter, right? So do what you can. All right. Now I'm going to put a little, I have a little cylinder here. Put this around. Right. And this video is for righties today. So if you need a lefty, you can always request it. However, it's going to be a minute or more or a lot because I do have a long list of things that I have to get done. All right. Okay. We are going to do straight up, this is no amigurumi, even though it says amigurumi. I don't know why. I mean, maybe amigurumi, I don't really know. I'm not Japanese, so I don't know the legit definition of it. But I always thought it was in the circle, doing that circle thing. This isn't in a circle. All right, so let me show you how to cast on with a slip knot. We're going to take our ring, pinky, and thumb, and then we're going to take our index and middle and hold apart the yarn like this. You're going to take your hook and hold it perpendicular to the yarn, and we're going to go down, out, and around to create this loop around your hook. You can slide your hook up and down very easily. We're going to slide the hook down towards our thumb. Take your middle finger on your right hand and hold it right where it crosses so that you can let go of your left, because we need to gather up some feeder yarn. So from here you're going to re-pinch the end as low as you can go, and then we're going to slide our hook further down towards our thumb, and where it crosses just pinch it so you can no longer slide it up and down. Then we're going to yarn over, which is putting the yarn over the hook, and then we're going to slip this through the loop like that. Then you're going to overhand the hook, and then you're going to re-pinch the end, and I'm going to push this knot towards the thumb and push it down so you can't push it anymore. And then you're going to take your thumb and middle finger, we're just going to pull that piece out just a little bit more to make that knot nice and snug. And then I'm going to pull up the knot a little closer to the hook, and then we can start our project. Alright, so for the cheese, we're going to be chaining 2. So what you have to do is hold the knot with your middle finger and thumb, go back under your hook like this, right? This is going to stabilize your project now. What we're going to do is yarn over this yarn, the feeder yarn, right like that. Then we're going to pull this through the loop. We're going to be doing a chain 1. So pull that through the loop, and that is a chain stitch. So we have 3 loops that make up the chain stitch. We have a loop on this side, a loop on the other side. We flip it on its side itself, and then you can see this back hump right here. Let's go and do another chain stitch. So again, you're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull this through the loop, and now we have 2 chains, and each chain is made up of 3 loops. Here's 1 loop on this side, 1 loop on the other side. Turn the whole project on its side, and you can see the back hump right here. Okay. So if you need me to speed up or slow down, you can click on the gear button in the corner. There's playback options to go fast or slow. If you don't need to hear me talk, you could always lower the volume on your device and click on the CC closed caption button. Alright, so from here we're going to be doing a single crochet stitch. So let me show you how to do that. So universally, when you have chains and you do a single crochet stitch, you have to build the height of the row. So a single crochet stitch is going to take 1 chain. So that's why in the instructions it asks you to do a single crochet stitch in the 2nd chain from the hook. So this first chain here is for the height. The 2nd chain here is for the single crochet stitch. So what I'm going to do though, we're going to be using the hump. we're going to stick our hook in the hump. So to do a single crochet stitch, stick your hook, second chain from hook. We're going to put it in the back hump here. So as you see, the back hump is right over that hook. We flip it on this side and you can see the braid is on this side. Alright, so now I'm going to do a single crochet stitch. This excess piece, you can just flatten it for now. But what we're going to do is yarn over. We're going to pull this strand through that first loop there. Okay, first loop. So now you have 2 loops. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull this strand through the 2 loops. Okay, so that is your single crochet stitch. Here's the top, you have the front loop and the back loop, and then this little thing here on the side, that's that chain that builds the height before we go over. Alright, so from here, we are going to chain 1. So I'm going to show you how to do that one more time. Alright, so yarn over and pull this through the loop. That's 1 chain. Okay, then we're going to turn the project. So you just want to take this the way that it looks right now, and we're going to turn it this way. Okay, so now we're going to do row 2. We have an increasing stitch that we're going to learn how to do. So the only stitch on here is right here. So this is where we're going to put in our hook. So put in your hook. Right? We're going to do an increasing stitch, which is pretty much 2 single crochet stitches in 1 stitch. So yarn over, pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops. Then yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Okay. Let's do another one. We have to go into that same stitch that we just used to do an increasing stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, so we have 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So we have 2 single crochet stitches coming out of this one. Here's the front loops, here are the back loops. Alright, so now what we're going to do again is chain 1 and turn. So you're going to take your project that looks like this and just turn it around like that. Alright, then we're going to do round 3. Okay, so as a note, it says to stitch under the turning chain. It's the first stitch going forward. So we're basically going to be we're going to be stitching into the same stitch as the chain 1 pretty much. So in the last row we had 2 stitches that we did. So we're going to be working these 2 stitches. Alright, so for row 3, I still have to show you how to do 2 more single crochet stitches and 2 more increasing stitches. So we're going to read the instructions for row 3, and I'm going to go step by step for just those 2. And then, move on like normal. Okay, so for row 3, we have to do, I'm going to show you how to do a single crochet stitch. So we're going to go into this first stitch here. And we're going to do a single crochet stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop so you have 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So that's our first single crochet stitch. Then what we're going to do is an increasing stitch. So into the next stitch, put in your hook. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop so you have 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And to continue this increasing stitch, stick your hook back into that same stitch we just used. Then we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. All right. So here we finished row 3. We have to chain 1 for the height. And then we're going to turn it. So turn it around like this. And then we can do row 4. So I want to show you how to do one more single crochet stitch, but finish the number that the row requires you to do. But let's do this step by step. So stick your hook into the first stitch here. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Okay. So from here, I'm just going to do the remaining single crochet stitches that it's asking for. And then what we have to do is I'm going to show you one more time how to do an increasing stitch. So we're going to stick our hook into the next stitch, and we have to do 2 single crochet stitches in here to make an increasing stitch. So step by step, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through both loops. Then you're going to stick your hook back into that same stitch that we just used. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So now for each one of these rows, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a parenthesis with a number inside of it. That's the number of stitches you should have left. So as we grow in size, there's going to be more stitches for you to count on. And it's better if you, just count every row. But now that we're just getting bigger, it's especially important to make sure you count your stitches after every row. So once you finish here, just count to make sure you have all the right number of stitches. We can do our chain 1. And we can turn the project like that. All right. So, because I've shown you how to do single crochet stitches 3 times and increasing stitches 3 times, rows 6 through 15 are actually the same stitches. It's the same stitches, just different numbers. So this is what I'm going to do. The stitch marker that I have here, I know that they've only given you 1, but save all the tools that you get in these kits. I would also recommend that you go and you get yourself more of these stitch markers. These are going to help you keep track of your row count and your stitch count. If you don't know where to start, you can always go to a hobby store or online. In my description box, I do have an Amazon storefront, and I did throw on there a couple of companies that are sellers that sell these stitch markers that are they're higher than 4.5 stars. I haven't shopped from them, but they are a high star rating, so you can either get your stitch markers from them, or if you feel more comfortable to go somewhere else, do that as well. But I put these on there so that you have somewhere to start looking for them, if not just getting them all together. And if you do get them and it was pretty much a smooth buy from that seller, feel free to leave a comment here or any of my videos and let me know if the sellers that I ever put on my storefront are helping you out or not, because of course I don't want to advertise them if they're not that great. But here are my collective stitch markers. I've collected these from so many projects of the past, and unfortunately most of them don't pack these anymore, so it's really nice to see them when they do. But fortunately I've saved all mine, so now I don't really need to hope that they have it in the kit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a marker under the last stitch we made, you see how there's braids here? I want to just slip this under the last stitch, front and back loops, like this. Make sure you are not piercing the yarn. You'll probably feel it if you do with this type of yarn. Close this up. This is going to stand for row 6. So now I just have to count through 16. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and of course I always love to double count. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alright. We're actually going to go to 15. I was wrong. Yeah, 16 is a little different, so I'll come back in on row 16 and show you how to do that. But in silence, I'm just going to go through rows 6 through 15, and after I finish a row, I'm going to stick the stitch marker at the last stitch we made. Alright, so I'll come back in. And this is great because if you have something to do and you have to pause for a short amount of time or even a long amount of time, as long as you know, you can count how many stitch markers you are, you'll know what row you're in. So. Alright, so actually I screwed up. I need to add an extra stitch marker because I finished on row 4 going to row 5. So this is row 15. This is row this is row 5. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. Now that I cleared that up, again, put the stitch marker at the last stitch you made. We're gonna chain 1, turn, and it's the same kind of process until the 16th row. So, in silence. Alright, so I finished rows up to row 15, and we're going to do 16 next. So this one is going to have a bunch of stuff going on. We're going to introduce two more stitches for this next parenthesis of row 16. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. I didn't do that yet. Alright, so we're going to do a slip stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick our hook into that first stitch, and we're going to do a slip stitch, and a slip stitch is just a yarn over, and we're going to pull this strand through all the loops off our hook. Right? So that was a slip stitch. Then we're going to do our single crochet stitches. Okay. And then I'm going to show you how to do a double crochet stitch. So what we're going to do is yarn over. We're going to stick our hook into the next stitch. Then we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull up a loop. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over. You're going to pull through 2 loops. 1, 2. We have 2 loops left. We're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through those 2 loops. 1, 2. And that's a double crochet stitch. So let's do another one. So yarn over, stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through a loop. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through 1 and 2 loops off the hook. So we have 2 loops left. Then we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. 1, 2. Okay. Then we're going to go back to our single crochet stitches. And then we're going to do another, we're going to do the parenthesis, the number of times that it tells you. So in those parentheses, you had all that instruction, and then you have an X with a number. So that's the number of times we have to repeat it. But I do have to show you how to do a slip stitch 2 more times at least, and then a double crochet stitch 1 more time. So let's go ahead and do a slip stitch. So stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through all the loops off your hook. Pull up a loop, and then pull through the last loop here. All right. Then we're going to work on our single crochet stitches. And I'm going to show you how to do a double crochet stitch 1 more time. So yarn over, put your hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over. You're going to pull up a loop. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. Okay. So now we're just going to complete the rest of the parenthesis as the instruction tells you to. I do have to show you how to do 1 more slip stitch. So let's actually go ahead and do that now. So in the next stitch, put in your hook. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through all the loops off your hook. And then we can go about finishing the parenthesis. Okay, so now we've finished that. I can remove this actually. I don't know what we're doing next, so let's just put it under the last stitch we made here. We have an FO, and an FO stands for front loop only. So, Oh, sorry, not fruit. FO stands for fasten off. Sorry. So we're gonna fasten off, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. It says to leave some inches of yarn, so you're gonna have to pull out your ruler, and I have one here, and I'm just gonna start measuring the amount that you need. So it doesn't have to be perfect or anything. But cutting that off, and I'm going to show you how to fasten off. So to fasten off, you have to yarn over, and we're going to pull up a loop, but we're also going to pull it all the way out. So keep pulling till the other end comes out. Then we can tighten this up to make a knot. And then we're going to set this aside for now. Let's see. Oh, it says to place the eyes in, so we'll just go ahead and do that now. Let me put my ruler mat away. Right, here are our beads. I normally don't put the eyes in, but I do get tired of just sewing them, so I'm just going to put the eye beads. You don't want to put the safety eyes if you're planning on giving this to a child or a pet, because they can swallow these. And worst case, choke on it. Worst case, it ruins something in their little tummies. So put them in if you want them in, but I wouldn't recommend if this is leaving your possession. Anyway. So this is cool. It actually tells you where to put the eyes. So let's just do that now. So you want to find your middle. Okay, then we're going to put our safety backing on. Just slip on that and make sure it clicks. It's supposed to click. Okay. Because there's ridges on these screws and the backings kind of snap into place. Alright. It says the mouth would be added later, but I would take the opportunity just to do it now, so you can get it out of the way, because then you can hide your knots. So I would go ahead and thread this up and sew on your mouth. Now the mouth has a little dip of a smile, and I'm going to show you how to achieve that. Let's see if it shows instructions on how to sew the smile. Okay, so it does. So follow the instructions of the placement of the eyes. But what I'm going to do here is right, we're going to pull this up. I'm going to leave a little amount so I can tie it into a knot. And you want to also center the mouth as best as you can. So we're going to go back in like this. Now to make the dip, don't pull this all the way out just yet. We're going to come up in this row here. All right, but you want to put that loop right over it and pull it slowly so you can make that little smile dip. And then we're going to put this needle back down in here, and we're going to pull that embroidery floss right over that loop to keep it in place, to keep it smiling. See? Then we can turn this upside down and you can tie your knot so easily. I'm going to just double knot this. No, let's just do this one more time, just in case. Okay, then cut this off. Right, so now we have our little smile. All right, so I'm going to set this aside for now, and we're going to work on the pepperoni. Now we have to make 3 of these, so whatever I make here in this video, I'm going to go off camera and make 2 more. So all you have to do is just rewind this section 2 more times to complete the number of pepperonis you need. But just for video time purposes, I'm going to do it off camera. Okay. And for the pepperoni, actually, we are doing the magic ring. Okay, so now it gets to amigurumi like. Alright, so let me show you how to do this. We're going to wrap the yarn 3 times over your index finger with a little bit of overage so that you can put your middle finger right on there. Then you can straighten out your strands, loosen them or tighten them as you need to. But we're going to take our hook and slip it right under the 3 strands. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pull this back out and we're going to drag this strand underneath these 2. So hook it, turn your hook to the side, and then drag it underneath this strand and this strand, like that. Then we're going to yarn over, and then we're going to pull this through the loop. Okay. Then let go of your middle finger, slip the rings off your index, and then we're good to start round, well, this first part. Okay. Wow, it's the only part. So what we're going to do now is do single crochet stitches. So into the hook, into the ring, stick in your hook like this. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. All right, let me show you this 2 more times. Into the magic ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. One more time with you guys step by step. So into the magic ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So now we have 3 of these. Let's go and complete the remaining number of single crochet stitches required for this magic ring. And once we complete that, I'll show you what to do next, because we have to close our magic ring. So what you're going to do is overhand your hook. We're going to hold the stitches down here. You can let go of your feeder yarn. We have 2 loops from the magic ring that we started with and this excess piece. What we want to do is pull this excess piece and watch to see which one of these 2 loops goes inside the magic ring. So pull the excess piece and stop pulling once you identify one of the loops going into the magic ring. All right, so The ring that went in first was the one back here, this one. So what we have to do is pull this side of that loop out, not this one. We have to pull out this one. So take that loop. We're going to pull out this bottom end. You're going to see the other loop start to disappear, which is exactly what we want. So if you're having a hard time pulling the yarn, it might take a little bit of elbow grease here and a little bit of manipulation, but you should start seeing the yarn go through. Keep pulling until it's completely gone into the ring like that. Then now you have this little loop here, so we're going to pull in this excess piece so that we can pull the rest of that loop out of the magic ring. Once that disappears into the magic ring, you might still have a little tiny hole here. We're going to pull in the opposite direction and a little bit up. You might feel it give just a little bit, but that's going to be enough to close this hole. So now we're kind of complete with what we have to do. The last thing we have to do is do a slip stitch in the next stitch. Sometimes after doing this, it's going to be hard to find where that stitch is. So what I would recommend is count back from the hook the number of stitches that we made, and then stick your hook into that last stitch. And again, this might be tough because of the scrunching, but once you get into that stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch, and to do that you have to yarn over, and we're going to pull through everything off the hook. And then we have to fasten off and have a tail on this to sew. So, pulling out my mat again, gonna measure out the length that you need. And then we're gonna fasten off. So you're gonna yarn over, we're gonna pull through the loop all the way out, and then we're going to pull this closed. So this piece here, I'm going to leave a little bit of length, but we're going to tuck this in when we sew it, and then you can just cut off the excess piece. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, you guys, they don't have you sewing the stuff to the very end, but I think that's a missed opportunity to make sure that, like, you can tie your knots here freely. So I'm going to do the remaining 2 pepperonis, and then when we come back in, I'm just going to sew it together. You can wait until the very end, but I'm going to do that next. Alright, so I have my little cheese, got my pepperoni. I'm going to take one of them, and we're going to sew this on to the cheese. Again, they have you doing this at the very end, but you know what? We're here. Might as well get it out of the way. So, it says to look at the photo also to kind of see where they're placing it. And again, this stuff here, you can just roll in the background. And I give it a length so I can tuck it in. If it was short, it might stick out. So, that's why I do that. But I'm going to go in now, and we're going to sew this to the cheese. Comment below what your favorite toppings are. My all-time favorite that I would always ask for is bacon and mushrooms. Nothing beats plain, but bacon and mushrooms was always my topping to go to. But there's almost any topping I can have. I think the only thing that I probably wouldn't enjoy is the vegetable ones, only because of the black olives. I'm not an olive fan. So, I mean, if it was a veggie pizza and you removed, or I removed it, I guess I could eat it. But I don't think there's ever been a topping I didn't like besides that. Okay, so now we're back here. So here is where we can go and make up any knot we want to and not worry about it being exposed. So, and once we get this one knot down, when we put the other two pepperonis, we can tie it to this one so it's easier to tie. Okay, so I'm going to go grab this one now. And we are going to sew this one together. Let's tuck this excess piece back here. Okay. Okay. Like I said, we can take these two now and we can tie them together. Okay. Then we have one more left. Okay, and then this stuff you can just trim down smaller. All right. So I can actually remove this. So let's continue to the sauce. So we're back at regular crocheting, no amigurumi. So let me just gather up some yarn here. And we're going to cast on with the slip knot. So take your pinky and ring finger and thumb, and then index and middle. Hold the yarn apart. We're going to put our hook perpendicular to the yarn and go down, out, and around to create this loop around your hook. We're going to slide the hook down towards the thumb, and where it crosses, just hold it with your middle finger on your right hand so you can let go of the left. We're going to gather up some feeder yarn, repinch the end. We're going to slide our hook down towards our thumb, pinch where it crosses so you can no longer slide the hook up and down. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull the strand through the loop. All right. Then we're going to repinch the end here, and I'm going to push this knot towards my thumb, making that knot tighter. And then once you get to a point where you can't push it down anymore, then take your thumb and middle finger and just pull out that excess piece until that knot is nice and snug. Then we can slide the knot up towards the hook, and we can begin crocheting. All right. Gathering up some yarn here. Okay. So, this is looking like how we did the cheese, but I'm going to be doing some of the rows to start with to help you get started. So we're going to chain 2. Okay. Then we're going to do our single crochet stitch, second chain from hook, because this chain builds the height, this chain builds the single crochet stitch. So stick your hook, and we're going to put it into that back hump. You can lay this excess piece down over the hook, and we're going to just yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through those 2 loops. So we have our single crochet stitch here. We're going to chain 1 and turn. All right, so now for row 2, we're going to be doing our increasing stitch. Again, that's the 2 single crochet stitches in 1 stitch. Okay. And once we have that, you're going to chain 1 and then turn. So for row 3, we're going to go into the first stitch, and we're going to be doing our single crochet stitch, and then we're going to do our increasing stitch in the next stitch. Okay. Then I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to do row 4 now. I'm going to do my single crochet stitches. Okay. And then, like we did before, this is going to identify row 5. We'll be on row 5 now. And I'm going to go all the way down to row 17, because row 18, when we finish that, we're going to change to the brown yarn, light brown yarn. So this will stand for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, and then let's just recount this: 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Alright, so I'm going to do all these stitch markers in silence, and we're going to pop back in for row 18. Alright, so I finished up to row 17. We're going to do 18. Before I start that though, I just want to prep my light brown because we're going to be doing that next. And this one is a nice spool of light brown. So what I'm going to do is, this is one end, it's on the outside. Just rolling this in to tuck it in because I don't want to use that one. I want to go inside the spool and find the other end and use that one, because I'll show you why. So it may be easy to spot, it may not. It's all luck of the draw. But if you don't find it, take a strand and just pull it out, and eventually it'll come out. It might be a big wad, it might be a small one. Here, it just came out here. So I do that because all this needs is like a paperweight, and you can just keep pulling your feeder yarn as you need it, and it's not going to roll around. If I grabbed this one here, it's going to always spin because it's on the outside and it's trying to unravel itself. So put this off to the side, put my paperweight down, get my makeshift paperweight here. Alright, and since we're here, let's prep this even more. So take your hook here, pull it out really long. Right, this is so you don't lose your stitch. We're going to cast on with a slip knot. So I'm actually going to show you this one more time as the third time, and that'll be it. So pinky, ring finger, and thumb hold one end, index and middle hold the other apart. Take your crochet hook, and we're going to lie it perpendicular to the yarn. We're going to go down, out, and around to create this loop around our hook. You can slide it up and down, slide it down towards your thumb, take your right middle finger and hold it where it crosses so that we can drop the left and gather up some feeder yarn. Then you want to repinch your end here and then pull your hook closer down towards the end. Where it crosses, pinch it so you can no longer move your hook up and down. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull this through the loop. Okay, and then I'm going to overhand my hook, repinch my end, and we're going to tighten up this knot, pushing it towards our left thumb. Push it until you can't any longer, and then take your thumb and middle finger, and we're just going to pull this little excess piece out to make that knot a little bit more snug, and then slide it up towards your hook. And we don't need this right now, so I'm just going to go and carefully slip this off the hook, and we're going to set it aside for now. But I'm going to go back to my project, put the hook back into that huge loop. You can take your feeder yarn and pull it so that it tightens around your hook, not too tight. And I'm going to gather up some yarn here, and we're going to finish row 18. Right, so I didn't get to do my chain 1 yet, so do that and then turn, and then you're going to do your single crochet stitches. Right, and then we're going to do our increasing stitch. Oh, Now the increasing stitch, I did one single crochet stitch and I have to do the other one. So let's finish this increasing stitch. So when you get to that last stitch, do the first single crochet stitch for the increasing stitch, stick your hook back into that same stitch to start the second one. So yarn over, pull up a loop, so we have 2 loops. We're going to drop the red and pick up the light brown, slip it onto your hook. We're going to finish this last single crochet stitch with the light brown, so you're going to slip that through both loops. And then what you can do, because we don't need the red any longer, I'm going to cut about 1 inch or so. And I'm going to tie this 2 times around the light brown. Okay, once that is done, you can start collecting your feeder yarn with the light brown. And we are going to finish row 19. So, chain 1 for the height, that's universal for most instructions, right? And then turn. And then we're going to do our single crochet stitches. Now it's beginning to look a lot like pizza. Or watermelon. All right, and then we have to do our increasing stitch at the end. Chain 1 and turn. Okay. I'm going to gather up some yarn here, and then we're going to do row 20. So for row 20, we're just doing, again, the single crochet stitches and the increasing stitch. And then we're going to fasten off. Okay, I'm just gonna go here and just check the number of stitches that I have, make sure that I have the exact same number that the instructions have. Okay, and I'm gonna grab my mat because we have to measure out a tail to sew. Okay. Love this thing. I got that at the Dollar Tree, unless in case you were wondering. All right, so now we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through the loop all the way out, and then we're going to, oops, tighten up this knot, set this aside. So now we have our cheese and our tomato. And because I made my other end so short, we don't need to weave it, but it says the end that's on this side you're supposed to weave. So hopefully you don't have that much excess. But so I'm actually gonna sew the cheese to the tomato. Let's do that. Let's thread this up. All right. Now the thing that helps me out too with these stitch markers, they can hold your place if you're trying to sew things together. So I'm going to take the tip and connect these two together, and then I'm going to try to go from row to row to see if that does anything. But you want to connect these two together. So that when we sew it, it'll be easier to sew. There was a comment, someone saying to use needles, like pins. That's definitely what they tell you to do. That's the best way if you are like a sewer. I'd say. I'm not, so I've never used them ever. That's not true. The Dollar Tree did come out with a kit, and we had to do some felting or whatever, and did involve some pins, I think. But yeah, I'm not a sewer. Okay, so I'm not gonna do this to each row, maybe every other row. Yeah, it was getting a little crazy, but doing this now will save you some heartache later, because it would be difficult to figure that stuff out while you're sewing it, and then it would be devastating once you found out your pizza's crooked after doing all that. Anyway, so just try to line up your rows here. Comment below if you got this far. Tell me how it's going. Click that like button. Okay, oof, that took a minute. Alright, gonna go in here now and we're gonna sew this up. And by the way, when I sew, I like to have at least 2 strands caught up in the needle rather than 1, just so that it makes a stronger stitch. Okay, going the other way around now. Okay, now once I get here, I'm going to now sew the top part of this cheese. And I'm going to be doing straight stitches, so we're going to go in and out of the project. I'm going to go straight in. Hopefully it makes it to the other side. I think it's gonna make it. Okay. And then this being the last, let's see, I'm gonna try to go back in right here, I guess. Okay. And then I'm gonna tie my knot. Okay, then we can cut this down about an inch or so, and we'll tuck that in when we sew the crust. But this is what it's looking like so far. It's looking pretty cute. So when I come back, we're going to do the crust. Okay, right, so let's finish this up. This is the last piece that we have to do in this kit, and we're gonna do the crust. Okay, so I've shown you how to do the cast on with the slip knot 3 times already. So by now you should be able to do that. I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly cast on with the slip knot here. And we are going to be working the first 4 rows like we did before, and it's really looking similar to the cheese and the tomato. So can't be upset with that. I think that when things are the same and they work out right, it's always great. So far this kit's pretty good. All right, so we're gonna do 2 chains. And then universally, we're going to do single crochet stitches in the 2nd stitch from the hook, because this one builds the height. This one is going to build the single crochet stitch. So stick your hook. I'm using the back humps. You can lay down this excess piece so that we can stitch over it with our single crochet stitch. Okay. Then we can chain 1 and turn. Then for row 2, we're going to be doing our increasing stitches. So let's do that now. And then once we've completed that, we're going to chain 1 and turn. All right, so now we're going to do row 3. Let's do our single crochet stitch in that first stitch, and then our increasing stitch on the last stitch. And then I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Let's do this one more time. So let's do our single crochet stitches first, and then do our increasing stitch last. And so now we're going to move on to round 5 or row 5. Let's put our stitch marker here for row 5, and we're going to do this all the way to, let's see, let's do till 19 because something's going on in 20 and I can't read it all of it right now. All right, so this is going to be row 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Let's just double check the count here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so 19. I'm going to gather up some yarn here, and we're going to do this all in silence until row 20. All right, I finished row up to row 19. We're gonna do row 20. I saw some stuff going on there, and it took me like a couple of reads to figure out what it's doing. And we're pretty much gonna be doing the border of the crust. So we're gonna chain 1 for the height, turn, and we're going to be doing the same thing we've been doing this whole time with the single crochet stitches and increasing stitch. Right? And then what we're going to do is we have to do single crochet stitches on the remaining 2 sides. We are doing an increasing stitch in the middle of this, so just go ahead and follow your instructions for the sides because there are the number of rows here. You're just going to do the single crochet stitches down the line. You just have to find your spot to put them in. So 0. Okay. Yeah, so it might be a little difficult trying to like fish your hook into the sides here because it's not a familiar feeling if you're used to just putting in stitches. But like I said, I like to make sure I go through at least 2 strands because it'll give it a stronger hold. So if you can go and make sure you pick 2 other than 1, then it should work out pretty nice. Because just picking 1 strand sometimes will leave a huge gap here, and you don't want that either. Let me just see if I have the number of stitches I need. Okay, do the last one here. I'm trying to find 2 loops to use. All right, and then we have to do our increasing stitch. And then we're going to do our single crochet stitches going back up. Okay. Seriously? All right, so for round 21, we're going to do single crochet stitches all the way around, but we're going to use the back loop only. So I'm going to have to show you how to do that. I'm going to do at least 3 of them with you, and then I'm going to finish the rest in silence. We'll come back in and fasten off, and then we'll continue from there. But okay, so we're going to go around to the next thing here. Let me see. All right, so stick your hook into this first stitch here. Oh, back loop only. Sorry. This might be a little tough here. Yeah, because this is the, let's just put this here. Okay, let's do our single crochet stitch. Because that was the chain 1, and it's really hard to see what's happening. But, so now that we're in our regular stitches now, these are the front loops, and these are the back loops. And we are using the back loops only. So stick your hook into the back loop by splitting this braid and putting it through the back loop only. So here you have 1 loop, the front loop's left out here in the front. So do your single crochet stitch. Let's do this again. Stick your hook in between the braid. We're going to stick it in the back loop only. front loop is right here. And we're going to finish our single crochet stitch one more time with you guys. Split the braid, put it in the back loop only. You have the front loop just sitting there. And do your single crochet stitch. So now I'm just going to go ahead, like I said, all around the crust using back loop only, and then we're going to come back in and fasten off. Alright, so I have my pieces made. I just have to attach the crust to the rest of the pizza. Now, I'm looking at this back loop only. Let's take a little backstory here. I was questioning the back loop only, and I failed to realize the typical use for back loop only. So whenever you see this in a project, it's because they're building a wall or a crease, in other words. So as you can see, there's this natural bend to it. It does lean to the fact that we did single crochet stitches all around, so it's already, you know, condensing itself. But because we have a back loop only, it's kind of, it naturally wants to fold in. So if you're noticing this curving in outward or inward, outward, I guess, that's what it's trying to do. So I didn't quite understand how we were going to sew these pieces together, but what we're doing is now I'm just going to accentuate that back loop only. So where you see all the front loops left, let's just bend this. So this side is going to be on the bottom. So I have to actually take my crochet hook, and I'm going to go in from the underside. I'm going to yarn over this excess piece and pull it through the other side, because that is the side that we are going to hide this piece at. So actually, if we lay it down on this way, you can see the natural fold of that back loop only. So again, I'm just going in and folding down the crease to make it more prominent, that it's going to be like a box, a triangular box. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the tail from the pizza, and we're going to sew edge to edge all the way around, and we're going to stuff it before we close the whole thing. And then that's going to be it for this video. So I would start somewhere in the corner. I think in the corner we have, oh no, it's just the one. Okay, so we're going to sew corner to corner, stitch to stitch all the way around, and I'm hoping that the stitch count is all the same. We can probably fake it here and there if it's not the same stitches. But let's just get this done here. And then where the tomato is, try to get it underneath so we don't poke through the top. So basically, if you can help it, just try to go through the tomato. Try not to go through the cheese. I don't think I'm gonna have enough tail here. I'm gonna have to cut a piece and tie it on. It's a little disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. I can try to figure out a way to hide the knot so that it works out. You know, you just want to kind of not have exposed anything. So anytime you have to, you're already finishing up the piece, and then you have to add in an extra length to it, you know, you already know it's gonna be vulnerable to being exposed. But let me get some more yarn here. Alright, so I have more yarn here. Just gonna tie these two ends together. And then we'll try to work it through everything. It might be a little difficult with the knot there, but we'll see. I'm just going to go back and continue sewing the edges. Okay, so like I said, it might be a little difficult trying to fish the knot in with everything, but you just gotta make it work. Okay, so when you hit up a knot here and there's only a little bit left, I think I'm just going to leave this behind here and then move on to the next stitch. Okay, and then once we get to this point, we have a nice little pocket to put our stuffing in. So go ahead and do piece by piece and put your stuffing in here. Make sure it hits all the corners and that it's mostly even, or at least as even as you can possibly make it. You don't have to use every bit of it if you don't want. You can make this as firm or plushy as you'd like. Okay. Once that's in, you can seal this closed. Try not to sew through the stuffing because it will pull out of the project and then it's going to make everything look messy, and then trying to separate it or stick it back into the project, that gets a little difficult. So here I'm using my fingers to kind of push the stuffing down while I sew, so I make sure that I'm not sewing into it. Okay, and then once we reach the other side, we can then find a place to tie our knot. So I like to tie my knot at the underside. So I'm going to slip my needle on top and come out at the bottom somewhere. Oh, and see what happens when you, but I'll fix that. Try not to pull too much because you don't want to dimple your crust. But I'm going to go and tie my knot. Then we're going to go back in here in one end, randomly out the other. So I'm actually poking through the face here. Don't worry so much because we are going to hide this piece. So pull it enough to where you get a good amount out. But you don't want to over pull it because then it's going to pull on the corner. We're going to cut this flush. Then you're going to squeeze it so you can hide that end piece, and then it's pretty much gone. So this is our pizza, you guys. So glad we figured that part out. But here's the end result. Click the like button, let me know if you how's it going, if you're excited to see this pizza being made, and or click that like button if you're excited to go out to Walmart and find this kit. It's been around for a while. I just saw it the other day. I got this actually last year, and I haven't been able to have the time to do it until someone had requested it, so thank you for the request. Again, you guys, if you have a request, leave a comment below. If you don't want to wait for me to find the kit, then I would recommend sending a clear image via email. My contact info is in the description box below or on my channel. But I guess, ooh, this is Parker the Pizza. So he's got a name. Alright, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is Isms by Josie. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.